Good afternoon, everyone. I do hope we are audible. Hope we are audible.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir. Punya, sir, we
We
can
are
start.
really sorry for this technical glitch, and now we can start. So, my name is Shamlal Punya, and on behalf of Swachh Bharat Mission Urban 2.0, I welcome all the panelists and the participants of this sixth edition of the Swachh Talks, which is being held in the run-up to the World Environment Day 2023 on the theme Clean Rivers for Clean Cities. And as we all are aware, that solid waste is a bigger challenge in our present times, and in days to come, we are going to have a even bigger challenge of the liquid waste management. And we can witness the heaps of garbage across the cities, and especially in the case of riverine the towns, the problem becomes manifold when the litter and the waste ends up into the river streams. So today we have gathered here to deliberate on this important issue on the city river connect and how we can pave way forward for cleaner cities, especially the clean river cities. And SBM Urban 2.0 is happy to welcome the speakers for today's discussion. With us, we have got Padma Bhushan Dr. Anil Prakash Joshi ji, founder Himalayan Environmental Studies and Conservation Organization, Mr. Dayanand Saraswati, Commissioner Haridwar, Uttarakhand, Dr. Praveen Mutiyar Suthar, Director Technical NMCG, Mr. Suresh Babu, Director River Basin and Water Policy WWF India, Mr. Tathir Zaidi, General Manager Solidaridad Asia, Mr. Rahul Sachdeva, Senior Program Specialist NIUA, River Sensitive Cities, Mr. Tanmay Vasist, General Secretary, Ganga Sabha Haridwar, Mr. Dubey Gupta, Conservation Architect, Advisor INTEC, Dr. Deepika Dogra, Project Associate, NMCG WII India Project. Looking forward for a fruitful interaction. And now I hand over the stage to Mr. Suresh Babu, who is Director, River Basin and Water Policy, WWF India.
Thank you, Mr. Punia. At the outset, want to thank SBM 2.0 for this opportunity to be part of this elite panel. And I've been looking at the previous versions of the Swachh Talks. It's really inspiring to see the actions taken by different stakeholders and different cities. So thank you and congratulations to Mahua for organizing this series. Now, in the run-up to the World Environment Day, we are very aware of the fact that nationwide there's a campaign on Mission Lifestyle for Environment that's happening across the country. In the context of that, and with the forthcoming World Environment Day, I think this is a very important session, and particularly this collaboration between Mahua and NMCG in bringing cities to the focus of river conservation. Once again, wanted to convey our appreciation to Mr. Punia and the entire team of SBM 2.0 for considering this topic. We know that cities are a pain point when it comes to river rejuvenation. However, we've been also seeing that there had been many positive stories emerging out of cities. I just wanted to recollect a few. The River Cities Alliance, which is growing, which is actually driving the thought process within the city managers and planners as to how cities can be kept at the center of planning and developmental activities to deliver both ecological and economic outcomes. So that's kind of a paradigm shift in our thinking. So we'll hear more about that. We have heard about prairies, the Friends of Rivers, Mitras, across our country, across the Ganga Basin, who are taking positive steps, little steps, but important steps on a day-to-day basis to keep our cities and rivers healthy and clean. So we'll hear more from WIA around that. We have today the Municipal Commissioner of Haridwar who is joining. I was just looking at the work that they are doing, from green temples to own my own ghats. It's kind of an amazing story that the stakeholders from Haridwar has to say, and I'm sure that many other cities will be inspired to learn from that. And last but not the least, when you are talking about city is an ecosystem which has different stakeholders, industries as well. And so Dr. Praveen and Mr. Saidi will actually take us through how important it is to engage with industries, and mostly, the high impact, highly polluting industries, to change the story around pollution. So there are amazing set of stories waiting for us, and I'm very honored to be part of this elite panel. And without uh, of a talk, I wanted to actually hand over the mic to Dr. Joshi, but I'm not seeing Dr. Joshi here. So I'm not really sure if Dr. Anil Joshi is uh, present.
He is
If
joining from this end.
Yeah. So again, Dr. Joshi, it's an honor to be with you in a panel, and in case of introduction, he's Padma Bhushan and also the director and founder of Himalayan Environmental Studies and Conservation Organization, a green activist, Dehradun based, and he has been working on sustainable technologies. Sir, over to you to hear your perspectives on Himalayan cities and some of the challenges faced by the cities, and most importantly, how we can change the story to rebuild the city river people connect. So would like to hand it over to you, and will sir, over to you, sir, Dr. Joshi.
Thank you very much for this honor. And if you, I believe that I should speak in Hindi, and I'll prefer speaking in Hindi. The reason is because it comes from my heart. Will that be fine if it doesn't matter? If I speak in Hindi, Hindi will do?
Please do, sir. Please.
Yes, please. Yeah. पहली बड़ी बात तो ये है कि जब कभी नदी, स्वच्छ भारत, शहरों की बात होती है, तो मुझे बड़ा अजीब सा भी लगता है, और आप भी मानेंगे कि इसलिए कि जहां देश इतना कुछ आगे बढ़ रहा हो कई मायनों, और हम कहीं इस बात के लिए अटके हैं कि हमारे स्वच्छ भारत जैसी बात मुझे अजीब सी लगती है। मुझे इसलिए अजीब लगती है, जिस भारत के गुणगान हम देश दुनिया में गाते हैं, वो अगर अपने आप में साफ और स्वच्छ नहीं है, ये सवाल बड़ा सामूहिक है और सबके लिए कहीं खड़ा अवश्य होता है। दूसरी बड़ी बात मैं यहाँ पे ये जरूर कहूंगा, अपने हिमालय की कहानी और अपने नदियों और शहरों के बीच में, इसको आप स्वीकारेंगे कि जो बड़ा शहर वो ज्यादा गंदा, और बढ़ते शहरों की संख्या का सीधा मतलब और भी है कि वो और गंदा देश बनाने में बड़ी भूमिका अपनाते हैं। और अगर आप देख लें पिछले 50-100 सालों के बीच में एक आपको अध्ययन करना चाहिए मेरी दृष्टि में, और तब आपको शायद एक आंकड़ा आपके पास आएगा, शहरों की संख्या बढ़ती गई और भारत गंदा होता चला गया। तो शायद सबसे बड़ा सवाल है कि देश में शहर सबसे ज्यादा संसाधनों का उपयोग करते हैं और सबसे बड़े कारण भी बन गए हैं अगर अस्वच्छता एक हमारा सामने सवाल हो। और अगर नदियों का जुड़ाव सीधा है, आप मथुरा जाइए, आप कानपुर जाइए, गंगा के हालात देखिए, यमुना के हालात देखिए, उसका बड़ा कारण यह है कि दो टुकड़ों में बटे हैं हम। एक जगह जहां से नदियां बनती हैं, वहां समझ भी पैदा होती है कि नदी के मतलब क्या होते हैं, और एक नदी जहां पहुंच जाती है, वहां नदियों के मतलब नहीं समझे जाते, उसको एक आवश्यकता का रास्ता बनता है, समझा जाता है, और हम उसका उस तरह से उपयोग करते हैं। मैं यहाँ पे इसलिए इस बात को कह रहा हूं कि आप इसे स्वीकारेंगे कि हिमालय देश की बड़ी नदियों का एक बहुत बड़ा कारण है। हमने तो यमुना, गंगा, तमाम तरह की नदियां नीचे भेजी थी, और उनके क्या आज हाल हो गए, नदियां नाला बन गई। इसे आप स्वीकारेंगे, और क्यों बनी ये भी आप जानते हैं कि इसलिए शायद बनी है क्योंकि हमने अपनी चूक गए हैं बहुत सी चीजों में। आज 62 मिलियन टन हम कचरा पैदा करते हैं, और इस कचरे को भी अगर डिवाइड कर ले तो आपके मेरे हिस्से में यही आएगा कि इस देश के गांव और इस देश के हिमालय को भी ले ले तो शायद इस कचरे की बड़ी भूमिका में नहीं है। ये कहीं शहरों के चारों तरफ ज्यादा घूमता है, और शायद इसको जीवन शैली भी कह सकते हैं, या हमारी आवश्यकताएं जिस तरह से हैं उसमें हम शायद कचरा नुमा हम जीवन शैली के बीच में जीते हैं, और यही बहुत बड़ा कारण है कि हम अभी तक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण रास्ता नहीं निकाल पाए। मैं यहाँ पे कुछ और बातें भी कहना चाहूंगा, और इसका एक बहुत बड़ा कारण बड़ा स्पष्ट है कि मैं जानता हूं कि बहुत सी म्युनिसिपैलिटीज देश की, अपने उत्तराखंड में भी मैं कह दूं और हिमालय में भी कह दूं कि अब उत्तराखंड में 115 सिटीज गिनी जाती हैं, 15-20 जम्मू कश्मीर में है, 40-50 हिमाचल प्रदेश में है। इनका कैसा और क्या योगदान आज कचरे में है, इसका एक बहुत बड़ा अंतर ये भी है कि जो टूरिस्ट आता है हमारे बीच में, मैं बार बार कहता हूं, मैंने टूरिस्ट मिनिस्टर से विकास देश के, कि पर्यटन और प्रकृति के ऊपर एक बहस होनी चाहिए और बातचीत होनी चाहिए, और हमारी टूरिज्म को इस शक्ल ऐसी होनी चाहिए कि जो हमारे पास कचरा लेके ना आए, बल्कि उनकी तमाम आवश्यकताओं को हम स्थानीय रूप में करेंगे तो स्थानीय रोजगार भी होंगे। पानी की बोतलें आती हैं, तमाम तरह के चिप्स के पैकेट आते हैं, पूरा हिमालय, और अंततः एक बारिश के बाद वो गंगा नदी में जाएगा, यमुना में जाएगा, कोसी में जाएगा, और फिर अंततः पूरी यात्रा करते हुए समुद्र में पहुंच जाएगा। सवाल ये पैदा होता है कि आखिर हमारे पास कौन से रास्ते हैं? अगर हम कचरा के पूरे स्रोतों को खंगाल लें तो आप इसे भी स्वीकारेंगे कि कहीं एक बड़ा अंतर आ चुका है इस देश में, जिस पर सबसे बड़ी चोट की जानी चाहिए। विदेश में, दुनिया में जिन शहरों को हम बहुत अच्छा मानते हैं, जिस देशों को हम बहुत महत्वपूर्ण मानते हैं, जाने में हमें बड़ा सम्मान लगता है, वहां जब बच्चा पैदा होता है वो स्वच्छ वातावरण में पैदा होता है। हमारे यहाँ जब एक बच्चा पैदा होता है, कूड़े के बीच में पैदा होता है, इसलिए उसके संस्कार का हिस्सा बन जाता है। वो समझ है कि वो उसका वही संस्कार बन जाते हैं। जबकि विदेशों में आप जानते हैं कि विदेशी भी आते हैं तो कचरा अपनी जेब में डाल देते हैं। ये एक सवाल जो बड़ा है हमारे चरित्र पर, उस पर सबसे बड़ी बहस की आवश्यकता है, क्योंकि हम स्वच्छ भारत, हम भारत के लोग हैं, और हमने दुनिया में कई तरह के झंडे बहुत पहले भी थे और आज भी हैं, और कम से कम इस कूड़े का जो भंडार और ये जो पर्वत, नए पहाड़ खत्म हो रहे हैं, जो हमारे प्राकृतिक पहाड़ हैं वो खत्म हो रहे हैं और कूड़े के पहाड़ हमारी जगह ले रहे हैं। अब रास्ता अगर कहीं पे है तो मुझे व्यक्तिगत रूप से पहाड़ के संदर्भ में, क्योंकि मैं हिमालय के संदर्भ में एक बात अवश्य कहना चाहूंगा कि मित्रों, अगर हमने देश की प्रकृति और पर्यावरण को कहीं खराब कर भी दिया तो कोई अगर जान बचा सकता है तो वो जान हिमालय ही बचाएगा। आज भी 65% पानी हिमालय से चलता है। आपके 66% हवा जो हम जिसके बिना हम रह नहीं सकते, प्राणवायु, वो हिमालय की कृपा से। जंगल आप जानते हैं, मिट्टी से ग्रीन रिवॉल्यूशन सब आता है। एक रणनीति हिमालय के, कम से कम एक प्राथमिकता के आधार पर हिमालय के लिए ये होना चाहिए, जो मैं बार बार बोल रहा हूं, प्रकृति पर्यटन। आप एक अध्ययन कराइए। मैं जो कहता हूं, जिस अध्ययन को मैं समझता हूं कि कितना कचरा हम स्थानीय रूप में होता है, हिमालय में होता हो या गांव के बीच में होता है, और कितना शहरों की देन है इस देश में। तो इसलिए शहरों पर शायद एक ज्यादा बड़ी बहस, और मैं समझता हूं कि नदी के बारे में मेरा मानना है, नद्ये पुराणम च वर्तमानम च भविष्यते। नदी हमारा इतिहास है, और नदी हमारा वर्तमान है, और नदी हमारा भविष्य है। शहर क्या इस कल्चर से जुड़े हैं? क्या हमने, अब देखिए कितनी अजीब बात है, हम अपना घर साफ रखते हैं, हमारी गली और हमारा शहर कहां पहुंच जाए उसकी चिंता नहीं है। ये हमारा चरित्र है, और ये जब तक समझ में नहीं आएगा तो आप और सरकार, मैं सरकार को बिल्कुल दोषी नहीं मानता। मेरा मानना है कि जिस देश में ये अधिकार और हम जिस नागरिकता का बहुत ज्यादा बोलबाला और वो मानते हैं, बहस करते हैं, मैं उसी के आधार पर कहता हूं, जब तक प्रत्येक व्यक्ति इसमें बड़ी भागीदारी के लिए, खास तौर से शहर को बताना पड़ेगा हवा, मिट्टी, जंगल, पानी कहां से आते हैं। और अगर आपकी भूमिका कुछ ना हो तो कम से कम आप अपनी आवश्यकताओं पर कटौती करें, ये पहला है। क्योंकि आप कितनी भी योजनाएं खड़ी कर लें और जितने शहरों की संख्या बढ़ती जा रही है, मान के चलिए आप इस देश को कूड़े में बदलने की उतनी बड़ी तैयारी भी कर रहे हैं। आप, मैं समझता हूं कि आप ये ज्यादा बेहतर जानते हैं, ये तमाम तरह के अध्ययन आपके हैं। लेकिन शहर और नदी, मैं विरोधाभास मानता हूं कि जहां नदी और शहर एक साथ हैं, वहां ये मान के चलिए कि हमने जो कुछ भी कर दिया। और यमुना नाला दिखती है, गंगा, पूरा पार्लियामेंट बसता है दिल्ली में, सारे विद्वान तो दिल्ली में है, और वहां पे एक नदी के हालात हैं, तो अब देश में हमारा क्या परिचय जाएगा देश दुनिया में? इसको हम सबको सामूहिक रूप से सोचना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये किसी सरकार पर दोष देते हुए हम अपने से मुक्त हो जाते हैं। अरे साहब, ये सरकार, ये म्युनिसिपैलिटी का काम है। नहीं, शायद प्रत्येक व्यक्ति में। और मेरा एक बड़ा कभी-कभी मैं ये सोचता हूँ कि हर घर को 1 महीने तक इस बात के लिए बंद कर देना चाहिए कि आप अपना कूड़ा बाहर नहीं फेंकेंगे। जब वो बदबू से मरेंगे, जब उन्हें लगेगा, तब शायद वो महसूस करेंगे कि वो अपना घर तो साफ रखते हैं, लेकिन शहर और नदी जो अल्टीमेटली इस कूड़े को ढोती है, ले जाती है, शायद उनकी समझ में आएगा। मैं आपसे अंत में एक ही बात कहना चाहूंगा जो ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण है कि खास तौर से हिमालय के परिप्रेक्ष्य में, जहाँ नदियां किसी न किसी संकट में जा चुकी, वहां के जलागम उतने मजबूत नहीं है, लेकिन जो कुछ भी बचा कुचा है, वो अगर कहीं पर आज कुछ दंश झेल रहा है, जो कष्ट झेलेगा, वो हमारे पर्यटन के कारण है। और सीधी बात है, मैं अक्सर कहता हूं कि ऋषिकेश, उदाहरण के लिए ऋषिकेश हो, हरिद्वार हो, जहां भी एंट्री होती है, वहां पे पर्यटकों से हाथ जोड़ के किसी भी वस्तु को न ले जाने की अनुमति नहीं होनी चाहिए, और उसके बदले में पूरा पहाड़ उनको वो सब चीजें दे, रोजगार भी पनपेगा, हमारा पानी पिएंगे। अब गंगा यमुना हमसे आती है और खरबों रुपए की पानी की बोतल नीचे से ऊपर जाती है, और वो प्लास्टिक फिर वो नदी में आता है। ये सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी हो गई। कैसी सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी है, यानी सर्कुलर इकोलॉजी हो गई जो एंटी है। तो शायद बड़ी बहस और बड़ी चिंताओं का समय है, क्योंकि जिस तरह से हम अपने आप को बना रहे हैं विकास के नाम पर, हम जो कुछ भी अपने को बेहतर मानते हैं, हम अपने पीछे कूड़ा जो छोड़ के जा रहे हैं, वही शायद हमारे इस शुरुआत की अंत का कारण बनेगा, जो कि आज हमने तय कर ली है। मैं समझता हूं कि हमने देर में भी शुरू किया, तो समय का भी अभाव है, बड़े विद्वान लोग चारों तरफ हैं। ये मैं इसी अनुरोध से कह रहा हूं, मेरा मानना है कोई सरकार नहीं कर सकती, सरकार असहाय होती है, वो शून्य है। जब तक हम संख्या में पूरे ना हो, तब तक वो कहां 100 और 1000 और लाख और करोड़ बनेंगे। तो सरकारों पर हमने जो चिंताएं डाल के अपने को स्वतंत्र रखते हैं, भूल जाते हैं किसी गली का कूड़ा मेरे घर में वापिस आएगा। ऐसे नहीं आएगा तो बीमारी से आएगा, हवा से आएगा, पानी की गंदगी से आएगा, आएगा ही आएगा। और इस पर देश में बड़ी बहस होनी चाहिए। और स्वच्छता मिशन मुझे बड़ा अजीब सा लगता है, कितने बड़े लोग हैं देश दुनिया में, जाने जाते हैं हर चीज के लिए, अपनी संस्कृति सभ्यता के लिए, लेकिन घरों के कूड़े के प्रति हम चिंतित नहीं हैं। और यही शायद हमारी सबसे बड़ी आने वाले समय में वो भी होगा। इंडिया इज शाइनिंग। अब ये बड़ा है, अच्छी बात है, देश दुनिया में हमारे को बड़ा सम्मान मिल रहा है, और अपने घर में कूड़ा और गंदगी इस स्तर की हो, इसके लिए हम सब दोषी हैं। और इसके लिए शायद चरित्र पर बात होने की बड़ी आवश्यकता है, इसे बेहतर करने की जरूरत है। आप सबको धन्यवाद और आप सबको प्रणाम। और मैं आपसे सबसे यही अनुरोध करूंगा कि इसकी व्यापकता बैठकों के अलावा लोगों के बीच में ले जाने की है। और लोगों के बीच में, मैं गांव को तो दोषी नहीं मानता, आप जाइए, हमारे गांव स्वच्छ और साफ रहते हैं। शहरीकरण और इससे जुड़ी हुई जो सभ्यता संस्कृति से बहुत दूर है, दोनों को जोड़ के होना चाहिए, लगना चाहिए कहां पे से हमें क्या मिलता है और हम उसे कैसे बर्बाद कर रहे हैं। आप सबका धन्यवाद और आप सबको प्रणाम।
Thank you, Dr. Joshi, for a very thought-provoking address. A couple of things that you highlighted. One, cleaning our rivers, keeping our rivers healthy is not just the government's job. It has to be a collective action, starting from individuals to everyone. Working together. दूसरी चीज आपने बहुत ही important कहा, which is about a realization of the fact that Himalayas is our water towers. All our rivers originate from Himalayas. We need to sort of ensure that upstream downstream connect is understood by different stakeholders. Another point that you mentioned was around reducing consumption at the individual levels, reducing our footprint, and most importantly, आप बार-बार ये कह रहे थे कि प्राकृतिक पहाड़ों का संरक्षण करें and कूड़ों को पहाड़ खत्म करें. That's an important message that you mentioned, and you also said that we need to talk and discuss about what is the most appropriate and a sustainable way of having tourism in this country. And आपका एक slogan अच्छा लगा मुझे, circular economy या circular ecology. So that's again, a lot of thought-provoking ideas have come up. Once again, thanks for, as always, a thought-provoking session. In the interest of time, we'll move to the next speaker, and I'm sure that there will be more questions at the end. Dr. Praveen, he's a director technical in NMCG and had been working on pollution for quite a long time, a very well-established expert in this field, and had been driving the work in NMCG along with Kathir Saidi, who's a general manager at Solidaridad. Again, they're going to talk us and take us through their initiative in Kanpur tanneries, particularly with respect to pollution management. Over to you both, and I'll request if you can present this in 7 minutes because we need to wind up by 4:30. So thanks for your understanding.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Babu. I'll after listening Dr. Joshi, uh, I'll be I'm mainly focusing on Kanpur areas, and he rightly set the theme like bigger town, more pollution, more solid waste. So when we are going to Kanpur, of course, it's one of the biggest industrial town in Kanpur. So the problems are already so I'll have a small presentation. So I'm sharing that presentation. Just let me know whether it is visible to all the participants. Okay. I think I have already shared the presentation. Is it visible, Dr. Babu?
Yes, it is. It is. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So this is about Ganga Basin. I can skip it because we know this. This is one of the largest basin of the river basin of the country, having roughly around 44% of the population. More than 100 Ganga Basin cities. Big cities are also there. So problem is due to pollution everywhere. The second thing is like, okay, this is brief about the Namami Gange program, which is considered as integrated basin approach, having various components. So I'll skip this and specifically coming into the talk of today, especially intervention undertaken for Kanpur Tannery clusters. So when we say Kanpur area, so the first thing comes in our mind, like this is the region which is of the river Ganga, which is the most polluted, considered as one of the most polluted stretch in the Ganga basin, especially on main Ganga river. It is highly industrial town, and it's a metro town also, like it's a big city, as Dr. Joshi was saying, Bada Shahar, Adhik Pradushan. So the same problem exists here also, and there are two issues, like industrial pollution was dominating in this sector. So we came with an approach of reduction treatment at the sink and reduction at the source, so that like how we can whatever the waste is generated, that can be treated at the sink, which is ultimately at end point, and how can we adapt the best practices, practices at the industry level, so that there is a minimum the reduced quantity of waste generation. So approach is at both the levels, like how we can deal at the end, or how can we generate less. So for that second component about the sink, we have we are establishing 2 CTPs in Kanpur Unnao sector, and so I'm coming first, starting from the back end. So coming to the CTP, this is first is the 20 MLD common effluent treatment plant for Jajmaun leather cluster. It's in Kanpur. It's a massive project. It's a big project, more than 600-700 crore project size rupees cost project, where a National Mission for Clean Ganga is assisting, supporting the Jajmaun Tannery Association in construction of this biggest CTP, and this will be the as far as I know will be the biggest Tenri effluent treatment plant in a single stream. It is a 20 MLD biggest stream. So I'm coming to like how we are reusing the things here. So basically in this CTP we have two streams. This treated effluent from the ETP will be again diluted with the treated sewage, and it will be taken into a irrigation canal, which will be used for irrigation purpose. So about 100 cubic of water together with the domestic sewage will be available for irrigation, and there is a well established irrigation canal system exists where this water will be discharged. The second important thing is here is like the CCRU unit, like common chrome recovery unit. So the chrome liquor from the Tenri industries will be brought into CCRU unit, and the chrome recovery will be there, and this recovered chrome will be again used by the industries. So this chrome which was if so industries will save on the part of their expenses on part of the chrome, and at the same time it will not go into the system. The second thing as CTP is 4.5 MLD CTP at Banthar. So this is something different with the last case which I discussed, like CTP Jajmau. Here we have like common chrome recovery unit similar on the lines of Jajmau CTP, where the mixed chrome will be recovered. But in case of the effluent, there are two separate streams. So there will be twin line which will be coming to the new CTP, and this is a zero liquid discharge plant. So the Swachh stream which is coming which will be coming separately, the water will be recovered, and the salt with whatever the salt will be recovered after from the evaporator. The same salt will be reused by the industries, because 99% of the time of the content of that salt which will be used from the Swachh stream is basically sodium chloride and sodium sulfate, and can be reused by the industries. And while composite stream, of course, whatever the reject will be there, that will be going to the landfill. So overall, this will be reducing the content, the salt content, which will be going into the landfill. The reject, which was the salt, which will be again used by the industry, and of course there will be the water also, which will be recovered, will be reused. So these both of the CTPs are under construction. One Jajmau we are expecting to start in another 2-3 months, and this Banthar it will take around 10-12 more months. Its construction is going on full swing. So this is what I talk about, reduction at the treatment at the sink. So now as I mentioned in the beginning, and Joshi sir also mentioned, like, okay, how we can change our practices so that less waste is generated. So we are also doing working in on that front also. And what are the good practices which we can brought in the industries, and together with the help of Solid we are doing all those things in these clusters. So first thing is like water optimization technologies. So like how less water can be used for the same production, so that there is if there is a less water consumption, there will be less volume of the effluent. So in this regard, there are like installation of water flow meter, which saves around 35% of water. Solenoid valve saves around 50% of the water, and smart water saving systems. Second, coming to the waste reduction technologies, so that like with the adoptions of modern technologies and environmental friendly technologies, we can have like enzymatic deherring, which reduce TDS by 40% and BOD by another 40-45%. Low salt pickling, again it reduces the TDS by 40%. And desalting machine, it's a very simple machine which was and but it can reduce the salt content in the effluent by 30-35%. And what type of
Dr. Praveen, a very interesting presentation, but in the interest of time, another couple of minutes.
I'll be rushing. So waste to value products like tallow oils, paver blocks, and leather boards, which are being developed from the waste material, which was going either as a part of solid waste and other things. So next in as I already discussed, like desalting machine, solenoid oil, low salt pickling. These are the pictures of some of the good engineering practices which have been adapted in the field. Water saving technologies, same thing again, this is the pilot and tallow extract plant, which tallow oil is extracted from the animal and then waste product like paver blocks and other things. This plant has been recently inaugurated, and this is the center of excellence wherein Tannery Industries is being trained. They are getting training, exposure to the new technologies, more environmental friendly technologies, so that there is less waste generated, and so that at the sink end of the pipe we have lesser quantity of the waste. So this is overall about industrial management in Tannery sector. Over to you, Dr. Babu.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And my apologies for rushing you through very interesting presentation. And it's also very unique because, you're engaging, industries and that to a highly polluting sector as a partner and a stakeholder in pollution management. So that's really appreciable. I'll move on to the next presenter, Dr. Deepika, who is with WI, and she is leading this program around participatory and community management, which is basically on prairies. Again, Dr. Deepika, if you could, present this in 5 to 7 minutes, because we have 5 more speakers to go, and we have a hard stop at 4:30. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And, with my talk with what Dr. Joshi just said, that Sarkar asahay hoti hai until and unless ground support is very strong built for the government. So I'll be talking about the Ganga Praharies. As we all know, that river has a different connect to different people, and everyone values it in different embodiment. For some, it refers to the connection because river flows. It touches all the areas wherever it flows, right from when talking in context with Ganga, right from its commencement in the Himalayan region of Uttarakhand up till Ganga Sagar, it touches each and every patch that it flows through. So it represents connection for few others. It is representative of human health because it is a source of the fresh water, drinkable water for us. Few others, it's habitat in the sense that it's an habitat for the freshwater species that thrive within the waters of the Ganga, and also for the flora, fauna, and human habitation that thrives along the banks of the river. So here I am to talk about the Ganga Praharies because in comparison to all the policy initiatives that are being undertaken, especially in context to the urban spaces, until these community-based conservation efforts always help in igniting the behavioral change or infusing the behavioral change that make these efforts success on the ground. So the Ganga Praharies are basically trained and motivated volunteers from the riverside communities across the Ganga River Basin who have joined in efforts with the Wildlife Institute of India, and they also help the other conservation agencies to meet the goals of ensuring a clean and free-flowing Ganga River. These Ganga Praharies have been identified through one-to-one interaction on the ground. They have been also identified through various agencies, line agencies like Panchayati Raj system, the state forest departments. We have also been conducting individual interviews, and also we have taken the help of non-governmental organizations that have been working for the betterment of Ganga River in pockets, because when we ventured into the field, we saw that there are individual efforts and efforts made by individuals in connection to organizations for the betterment of Ganga River or the river that flows in their surroundings. They always want to see it the way it is and the way they have inherited it. And this is the coverage of our Ganga prairies in the Ganga basin. More than 3,000 Ganga prairies have been motivated to join in the effort. This is a diverse group of volunteers, which ranges from school students, college students, to housewives, to daily wage laborers. There are experts, scientists. It's an array of stakeholders who have empathy for the Ganga River and for the freshwater ecosystem. So motivated and trained, these Ganga prairies have been trained in various areas like village level micro planning, mobilizing communities at the grassroots level, liaising with state forest department, cleanliness drive, plantation drives, ecological surveys. I would especially like to mention the alternate skill development here, because when we first went into the field, the women participation was comparatively very less. So to enhance the participation of women groups, small alternate livelihood skill trainings were given to the volunteers so that they can step out of their household and join in our efforts. So these are some of the training areas that the Ganga prairies have been trained into, as mentioned before. And the trained Ganga prairies are further conducting activities on their own. Across the basin, they are conducting ecological surveys with the teams. They are undertaking plantation and cleanliness drives. They have also been trained in rescue and rehabilitation and to assist the agencies working for it, especially the state forest departments. And I would especially like to mention during the COVID times when we could not move in the field, these Ganga prairies who are in different pockets of the basin, they helped us in sample collection of water and soil sample collection. After we trained them, we just gave them one online training, and they were able to collect these samples and send it to the headquarters for further analysis. Here is a stats on the rescue activities that the Ganga prairies have undertaken. These are especially during the COVID times when we were unable to be there on the field, when the state forest department was unable to move. So they had this constant connection with the department, constant reporting to the department about the entanglements, or whenever they could cite any animal in distress. So these are the things that they have kind of strengthened our presence in the ground. And also when mass campaigns, they are always there for us. So these are the cleanliness and plantation drive. And as we
Request to wrap up, please.
Sure, sir. So cleanliness and plantation drives are very important, especially in context to the urban spaces, because that is activity that undertaken in ensuring clean spaces and clean river. And here I would like to before ending my topic, I would like to make a special mention about the Jalaj, because the livelihood trainings that we have imparted to our volunteers, we have further tried to link them to the market, and this market we have named Jalaj. So Jalaj is a complete package. It's an awareness corner, it's a production unit, it's also a ready market for the products that Ganga prairies are preparing from the locally available resources, so that the activities, the skills that they have learned in during their association with us, that doesn't come to an halt. So the regular supply of raw material is ensured, and the trainings are imparted as per the availability of these resources. And here's a list of the Jalaj centers that have been inaugurated in the first phase. And the people have started appreciating that women participation has enhanced. And one achievement to our another feather to the cap is that we have got space at Delhi Hut for these products that especially the customized products that the community members are making. Thank you so much, sir. I hope I didn't I've finished well within time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your understanding. It's an important and a great model that would be considered by many cities which are struggling to engage with local citizens. So thank you for that. And then I was told that Mr. Tathir Saidi also has a presentation. So I'll take you back to Kanpur once more, and with a request, Tathir, if you could, in the interest of time, I know that you've done an incredible amount of work there. In 5 minutes, if you could share with us what is it that other cities can learn from your initiative.
No, Dr. Babu, thank you very much for the opportunity. I think Praveen ji has already captured it nicely. And in the interest of time, I think it is better to hear other people as well. So he has already adequately captured the
All
key
right.
highlights of the work. So we will look
All right.
forward to
Thank you.
another
Thank you so much.
opportunity.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Now going to, there's a lot of talk these days about River Cities Alliance and river sensitive planning. And we have Rahul Sachdeva from the NIUA, who with NMCG had been developing and trying to implement the framework of urban river management plans. Without much introduction, so I'm handing it over to you, Mr. Rahul, to take us through, your thoughts on garbage-free river cities. How is it possible to achieve that goal? Mr. Punia also highlighted that as an important agenda for SPM 2.0.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Suresh, and thank you, SBM Urban, for giving the opportunity to speak amongst this elite panel of speakers. So, without wasting much time, since we are short on it, so I'm going to kind of speak about, as Mr. Suresh told, like paving way forward for solid waste-free river cities, because our engagement NIUA along with NMCG is about that how we can make cities kind of more responsible. The way when Dr. Joshi was saying in his talk, okay, it's not only about cities, it's also about now the citizens there that who have to play an active role. So the river cities, the cities which are along the bank of the rivers, how we can kind of look that we work together and help in creating better rivers. So sorry, can everyone see my slide?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Okay. So just quickly, because when it comes to now, river cities, ultimately, if you can see in the pictures, the major source of, I would, restrict to solid waste, because, liquid waste is also amongst one of the major pollution thing, which impacts the quality of the river. But here specifically, we are talking about solid waste. So it's usually your natural drains or, built drains, which carry a large part of our domestic waste into the rivers. And if not that, if the cities don't have adequate treatment mechanisms in place, you can see the middle picture, we tend to dump our waste along the length of the river, because from there it flows into the water, and somehow it moves ahead out of the boundaries of the city, so out of sight, out of mind. And in the same way, it's not only the domestic waste, a lot of industrial hazardous waste, biomedical waste, in absence of a proper treatment mechanisms, kind of end up in rivers and other water bodies. Other major reason is, as we have seen, a lot of our religious cities are on the banks of the rivers, and because of this various religious activities, a lot of religious waste end up in the river. And third very important thing is a lot of your construction and your the debris waste, which again ends up along the river banks. So now to address this, as Mr. Sureji was saying, that we have now created this framework called the Urban River Management Plan Framework, which is essentially a 10-point agenda for the cities to work so that they can contribute towards the betterment of the urban river stretches. That means a stretch of the river that at least flow within their jurisdiction boundaries, in administrative boundaries. And this 10-point agenda is based on our three broad verticals of environment, economic, and social. So earlier, when we were talking about river rejuvenation, the talk was always about restricted to the pollution abatement aspect. But then we should also think about that how now cities and towns can leverage on the economic aspects associated with the river. And as Dr. Joshi was saying in his talks, this social component, if you see on the left hand side, it's very important that how we connect the citizens to the river. So this 10-point agenda, if you see, the first six agenda talks about your environmental aspects, two objectives are on the economic aspects, and the last two objectives are on the social aspects, in a way that how we engage citizens into this entire ambit of urban river management. So the objective number 2, if you see, is essentially it talks about the pollution-free river. And again, as I mentioned, there are two sources, major sources when we talk about pollution is the liquid waste and the solid waste. But in today's talk, maybe we just focus more on the solid waste part of it. So this framework, what happens is that, based on this objective, the cities have to come up with interventions that they can implement at their level, so that, they can improve the quality of the river. This interventions, could be more project based. That means in terms of, the technological solutions that can be implemented on ground, and plus even planning based. So I will touch on these two aspects in my next slides. So when we talk about the project base, I'm sure you would have seen this. So now a lot of cities have coming up, unique kind of, solutions to clear the waste that ends up into the river through various sources. Either it is open drains or it is directly dumping into the river. So if you see here, it's a trash skimmer, and now this is being employed by a lot of cities to collect the floating waste from the rivers. In the similar way, there's another, it's called this the boom barriers, in which all the floating waste is kind of, collected at one place. And you also have a kind of, this screening thing, in which it captures the waste and then it takes away from the river. And recently, a lot of cities are coming up by using the floral waste from your religious sites and very innovatively converting into various products like incense sticks. Then you have organic colors, and even you have now, it's called leather. That, a leather kind of material which is made from floral waste. So there are various such kind of, innovations that the river cities are taking. Now, coming to the planning side of it, we have also created guidelines called the Making River Sensitive Master Plan. So in this, we are talking about how a master plan can also help in putting a lot of things, a lot of policies and interventions in place so that a city can contribute to our overall river rejuvenation. So a couple of this, the instruments which are mentioned here, I will kind of quickly take you through that. So the first of is the land use assignment. So when it comes to your, we have a draft notification on river regulation zone. So it says that within 500 meter from the high flood level and from 100 meter from a high flood level, in presence of an embankment or non-embankment, what kind of activities are permitted. So specifically, when we talk about solid waste, it clearly mentions that the dumping of solid waste and the creation of the landfill is absolutely not allowed in this the buffer zone along the length of the river. So it's, it clearly mentions that what kind of activities are used, permitted or are not permitted. When we come to the norms and standard, this is something that a city kind of, define at their level. So we say that, for siting distance of a sanitary landfill, it mentions 100 meter from the active floodplain of the river. So it's a standard that is mentioned, but a city can always kind of, take their own norms and standards. So for example, they want to say that it's not 100 meter, it should be even, let's say 200 meter from a floodplain, then, maybe it's better for them. And in the same way, it is 200 meter from ponds, lakes, and water bodies. So these norms and standards are kind of derived from national level schemes, and it depends on the cities that, to what extent they would like to apply on ground. Coming down to town specific sectoral strategies. So I've just put mention a example of master plan of Delhi,
Just a quick
in which is
reminder,
clearly.
the time.
Yes, sir. I guess another just one slide. So dumping of solid and liquid waste is kind of, not should be prohibited. Segregation of waste has to happen. So it kind of, gives a kind of a direction to the city set that so that, your actions accordingly to the master plan are implemented on ground. And last is the special projects. So a lot of kind of, specific activity that the cities can take, which talks about maybe, ghat development, creating eco-regional sites, cleanup projects. So on the right, if you see, a lot of is an example of, a legacy waste over a period of time, accumulated on the banks of the river. So this special projects can be, mentioned as a part of the master plan, and city can take up to clean up the river stretches. And this last slide is coming to, how all, waste can be kind of, put together and put it in a very innovative way. And for the Citizen Connect to also kind of, motivate them to contribute towards the overall rejuvenation aspects. So the whole point is that when a city has to look at solid waste management, it's always a combination of hardcore technological solutions plus a lot of planning level interventions coming together, which can help in betterment of river stretches. Yeah, thanks for your kind
Thank you, Mr.
attention.
Rahul, for laying out a suite of opportunities with respect to garbage management in cities. I'll now hand over to Mr. Dayanand Saraswati, who is a commissioner from Haridwar in Uttarakhand, who has something very exciting to share with us from Haridwar. Sir, over to you.
Am I audible to you?
Yes, very clear.
Yeah. Thank you. I have to share some presentation with all of you. Can you start the presentation?
Yeah,
So,
please. Yeah.
well, let me tell you about the city. Haridwar is a small place surrounded by the Shivalik mountains. So we are catering the population of around 2.5 as per the census 2011. But if you will see, the projection is around, we are having a population around 5 lakh. But the biggest challenge for us is the floating population actually. Every day in Haridwar, a lot of people are coming. In numbers of during the weekend, it goes around 10 lakh, and during the major snans, it goes around 15 to 20 lakhs. And we are the city which is going to host Kawad every year and Kumbh after 12 years. So a lot of challenges we are facing here. And uh, when I joined here, I have seen a lot of things to be done here. So what we have started uh, to have people with us. We had detailed meeting with a lot of stakeholders like Ganga Sabha and other people those are working in the solid waste management as well as cleanliness of the city. So we had a detailed programs with them, and then we came up with the ideas that we should start some programs which through which we can bring changes here in solid waste management as well as to restore the sensitivity of river Ganga. So we tapped all the nalas which are earlier we used to throw openly going on to the river Ganga. So all nalas have been tapped, and through the Namami Gange programs we had our STPs here, through which we are recycling every hour sewerage waters, and for that to reduce the plastic waste here in Haridwar, we started Project Aviral with the uh, with some SSGs and NGOs, and that we have the idea that without them it is very difficult to bring changes in Haridwar. So a lot of SSGs and NGOs are working with us now. Or now the changes are visible in our city, and in every year, because see we have around 82 ghats here in Haridwar, and every ghat has been used by the devotees here. So what we have done, we have installed dustbins, and we uh, we because at the daytime it is very difficult to clean to start the cleaning drive at the daytime. So what we are doing, we are working at the night. Our night shift started around 10 o'clock, and it goes around to 2 a.m. every day. So with these, we are able to change. We are able to bring some changes here. And for the plastic, because a lot of people are coming, I must share with all of you that those are coming here. They don't care about they're openly throwing their waste, whatever they're using, plastic bottles, other things, openly at the ghats. And also we stalled small kind of you know uh, some marks and signages there that they can use some dustbin over there. We have dustbin in every ghats. In every 100 meter we store dustbins, and we also have some kind of machines through which we can we can dispose the plastic bottles. Around 4 to 5 machines have been uh, installed in various parts in Haridwar. And we also inculcate some kind of training to our SHGs through which we can use our floral waste, because every temple have issue with the floral waste. So some SHGs are working here in Haridwar to convert this floral waste into sticks, incense sticks. So these we have done, and we also have the concept of green temples. We have installed some biocomposters in our main temples like Mansa Devi and Daksh Mandir near Har Ki Pauri. So through this we have able to cater the issue with the floral waste, because a lot of floral waste was going on directly onto the river Ganga. And last year we brought out with the program with the name of Ujjwal Haridwar, in which we have taken 100 days, and in every day we have selected for some program, we have dedicated every day to some programs, like we for the society participations. What we have done, we have started some drawing competition in which around more than 10,000 students from various schools has participated.
So Saraswati, we can't hear you. I think there is an internet issue out there. Let's give him a minute to reconnect, else we move on to the next speaker. But a lot of interesting, practical, grounded ideas that Municipal Corporation of Hyderabad has tried out. Probably it will inspire other cities as well. But one of the themes that is coming through right from the first speaker to the Municipal Commissioner of Haridwar is that there's a lot of floating waste that is coming in from outside cities. So how do we tackle that is one of the key questions that we need to look at. They're joining back. Else, if Mr. Tanmay is there, we can move on to you, and we'll go back to Mr. Saraswati a little later. Mr. Tanmay Vasishta, can you hear us? Yeah, in the interest of time, Mr. Tanmay, if you could share your perspectives from Haridwar.
Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, very much.
Yes. Thank you. Considering the limitations of the time, I won't go into the formalities of the addressing. First of all, as the Municipal Commissioner of Haridwar, where he has left is, definitely Haridwar has undergone some drastic and very tremendous improvement in the way of functioning and the way we clean Haridwar. As he was addressing the main issue, you see, Haridwar has this major issue of this floating population. Because if we consider the core population of Haridwar, it is somewhere between 4 to 5 lakh individuals living in Haridwar. But if we consider the floating population, it is ranging from 3 to 4 lakhs per day to like 3 millions per day coming to the Snan of Somti Amavasya, and like 4 crore people, 40 million people coming within a week at the time of the Kavod Yatra. So this is a big issue that we have to tackle in Haridwar. And considering the religious aspects of, because this is not an ordinary city where all the civic people are coming in, we are managing a city which is solely dependent upon the religious faiths of the people. देखिए, अगर हम हरिद्वार जैसे शहरों की बात करें तो हमें और किसी शहर से अलग रहकर इसकी एक व्यवस्था के लिए चिंतन भी करना पड़ेगा और व्यवस्थाएं भी बनानी पड़ेंगी, क्योंकि जब एक दिन में एक शहर में 30 लाख से 35 लाख आदमी आता है, तो जो सारी सरकारी व्यवस्थाएं हैं, देखिए आप कितना भी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलप कर लें, आप कितनी भी मैकेनिज्म डेवलप कर लें, कितनी भी मशीनरी डेवलप कर लें, लेकिन जब तक जो हमारा आज की एक वेबिनार का जो मेन टॉपिक है, दैट इज द कम्युनिटी एंगेजमेंट एंड द पीपल पार्टिसिपेशन, जब तक ये नहीं होगा हम नहीं कर पाएंगे। किसी भी सरकारी तंत्र के अंदर नॉट एनी सिस्टम ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट कैन हैव दिस पोटेंशियल टू टैकल 30 लाख पीपल इन अ डे इटसेल्फ। तो व्हाट वी हैव टू कंसिडर इज, मेरा हमेशा से मानना है कि गंगा जी गोमुख से गंगा सागर तक लगभग 2100 किलोमीटर की यात्रा करती हैं, and then we have to divide the entire region in 3 aspects. One is the tourist places we have on the banks of river Ganges. Second, जो हमारे जो तीर्थ स्थल हैं वो, तीसरा जो इंडस्ट्रियल वेस्ट वो आता है बहुत। मेरे से पहले स्पीकर्स ने कानपुर और उस विषय में हमें बताया, मैं अपने आप को कन्फाइन रखूंगा हरिद्वार तक, बिकॉज स्पेशली हम वहां काम करते हैं। मैं थोड़ा सा परिचय दे दूं, गंगा सभा वो संस्था है जो हर की पौड़ी और हर की पौड़ी के आसपास के जो 9 मेजर घाट्स है, द एंटायर फोकस पॉइंट जो है, हम उसको मैनेज करते हैं। एंड वी आर फेसिंग द ग्राउंड रियलिटीज एंड द ग्राउंड चैलेंजेस एज टू हाउ पीपल रिएक्ट, और हमें उनको कैसे उसको टैकल करना पड़ता है। द मेजर इशू दैट वी फेस इज, देखिए, हमें ये समझना पड़ेगा कि हिंदुस्तान आज भी लॉजिक से ज्यादा आस्था पे चलता है, धर्म पे चलता है, और लोग अपनी धार्मिक भावनाएं लेते हुए, धार्मिक आस्थाएं लेते हुए तीर्थ स्थलों पर आते हैं। वो हरिद्वार भी हो सकता है, इलाहाबाद भी हो सकता है, वाराणसी भी हो सकता है, और कोई सेट ऑफ लॉज नहीं है जिसके तहत उनको पूजा करनी है, बिकॉज द काइंड अ पर्सन परफॉर्म इट्स रिलीजियस रिचुअल्स डिफर्स विद एवरी 5 to 10 किलोमीटर्स, और इवन इंडिविजुअल उनके जो गुरु हैं उनके हिसाब से जो करना पड़ता है। मैं आपको बहुत छोटा सा एग्जांपल देता हूँ। एक मान्यता है कि लोग जब यहाँ स्नान करने के लिए आते हैं, या घर में जब किसी की मृत्यु हो जाती है, उसकी अस्थियां प्रवाहित करने के लिए आते हैं, तो यहाँ पर अपने पुराने कपड़े वो छोड़कर चले जाते हैं। किसी धर्म शास्त्र में, किसी धार्मिक पुस्तक में, किसी एक ऑथेंटिक रिलीजियस रिचुअल में ये कहीं वर्णन नहीं है, लेकिन लोगों की एक मान्यता है। वो अपने जो भी पुराने जो पूजन की सामग्री है, जो पूजा खंडित मूर्तियां हैं, वो लाते हैं, गंगा जी में प्रवाहित कर देते हैं। तो हमें जब भी हम कोई योजना बनाते हैं, मेरा, क्योंकि यहाँ सारे देश के जो मेन लोग हैं जो इस व्यवस्था में जुड़े हुए हैं वो बैठे हुए हैं, देखिए, हमें एक नदी को साफ रखने के साथ साथ हमें इस बात को ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा कि हिंदुस्तान में गंगा हमारी माँ के रूप में है, और गंगा के घाट एक मंदिर के रूप में काम करते हैं। तो हमें ये भी देखना पड़ेगा कि हमें उन्हें धार्मिक रूप से भी जागरूक करने की आवश्यकता है, और इस पूरे सिस्टम में हम धार्मिक लोगों को भी इन्वॉल्व करें, जिससे वो धार्मिक रूप से लोगों से अपील करें कि देखिए, हमारे जो प्रेडिसर्स थे, दे वर वेरी इंटेलिजेंट। उन्होंने क्या किया कि जो भी चीज वैज्ञानिक रूप से या व्यवहारिक रूप से करने योग्य नहीं थी, व्हाट दे हैव डन इज दे हैव प्रोहिबिटेड देम रिलीजियसली। उन्होंने धार्मिक रूप से उसको वर्जित कर दिया, और लोगों को कहा कि धर्म में, हमारे रिवाज में ये करना प्रतिबंधित है, या और आगे जाके कहा कि अगर ऐसा करोगे तो पाप चढ़ेगा। दिस इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट वी नीड टू डू। वी नीड टू मेक देम अवेयर कि आप गंगा जी में पूजा पाठ करने आ रहे हैं, स्नान करने आ रहे हैं, अपनी धार्मिक गतिविधियां करने आ रहे हैं, पुण्य कमाने के लिए आ रहे हैं। आप गंगा घाटों को, गंगा जी को अगर प्रदूषित करेंगे तो आप पुण्य नहीं कमा रहे हैं, आप पाप कमा रहे हैं। हम रोज सायकालीन हर की पौड़ी पर गंगा जी की आरती होती है, और नियरली 30,000 से 50,000 आदमी प्रतिदिन हर की पौड़ी पर गंगा आरती का दर्शन करता है। और हमारी जेएस मैडम आरती में रही थी वहां पर। वहां हम प्रतिदिन 50,000 लोगों को आरती से ठीक पहले गंगा जी की ये शपथ दिलाते हैं कि हम गंगा जी को और गंगा के घाटों को प्रदूषित नहीं करेंगे। बिकॉज हमारा ये मानना है कि अगर उन 50,000 में से 10% या 5%, इवन 10% और 5% ऑफ पीपल आर बीइंग इंस्पायर्ड बाय द रिलीजियस बिलीफ कि वो गंगा जी के तट पर बैठ कर गंगा जी की शपथ ले रहे हैं, तो एक साइकिल में, एक चेन रिएक्शन में, इन द ड्यू कोर्स ऑफ टाइम वी विल बी एबल टू चेंज देयर हैबिट्स। और वो हो रहा है, क्योंकि हमें एक बात और समझनी पड़ेगी। विद इन 2 minutes आई विल वाइंड अप।
Mr. Tanmay, we
विद
are
इन 2 minutes आई जस्ट वाइंड अप।
all right. Please,
विद इन
because we
टू
have one
मिनट्स
more
आई डू
speaker,
दैट।
and then JS ma'am also has joined.
जस्ट
So
1 minute, आई वाइंड अप एंड आई एम कमिंग बैक। हमें एक
yeah,
बात और समझना पड़ेगा। प्लास्टिक वेस्ट गंगा घाटों पर इसलिए बहुत ज्यादा होता है कि लोग जब स्नान करते हैं तो गंगा के घाट जो है वो गीले हो जाते हैं, और वो 10 रुपए की एक हॉकर्स की से चटाई लेकर वो उस पर अपना सामान भी रखते हैं, स्नान भी करते हैं। तो ये बहुत सारे ऐसे इश्यूज हैं जिनको हमें प्रैक्टिकली भी, क्योंकि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वाइज आप सब बहुत कुछ कर रहे हैं, बायोडाइवर्सिटी में हमारे WWI और WWF के लोग बहुत सारा काम कर रहे हैं, बिकॉज वो एक प्राकृतिक रूप से स्वच्छता प्रहरी भी है, लेकिन धार्मिक रूप से भी हमें चीजों को जागरूक करने की और लोगों को अवेयर करने की हमें आवश्यकता है। आज समय की कमी है, मैं क्षमा चाहूंगा, शायद 1-2 मिनट मैंने फालतू लिया हूं, बट सम अदर प्लेटफॉर्म वेयर विल हैव अ डिटेल्ड डिस्कशन, विल पुट फॉरवर्ड द थिंग्स। एंड thank you, Miss Rupa Mishra ji, the JS ma'am, for giving me this opportunity to come and present my views in front of you, and all the eminent panelists. Thank you all for your views, and looking forward to your discussions again. Thank you.
thank you, and thank you. It's very, very interesting points, but I'm sorry that we didn't have time to
No
go into
issues,
the
no
details of it, but I appreciate it. Now, I've been moving on to Mr. Divay Gupta from Intact. He's a conservation architect. And again, linking to what you said, Mr. Tanmay, culture and heritage, that's what Mr. Divay is going to talk us through. Sir, 5 minutes. I'm sorry, last batsman, 3 balls to go. So that's the situation in which you are. But I'll appreciate your winding up this talk in 5 minutes, and then we hand over to.
Thank you. I think a lot of points I wanted to make, I am already made. So I thank my other panelists. Plus, I also find myself a bit of an oddball here. A lot of people have done a lot of work, and I'm going to be talking at something about culture and aesthetic, which is really not talked about and seldom looked at, or looked at from a periphery. But its importance is what I like to really focus. And so, I mean, if I show you a photograph like this, I do not know, you will say this is Vrindavan or Banaras or something like that. But perhaps I do not know how many of you will be surprised that it's actually Delhi riverfront from 1900s. And all the cities that were riverfront cities were really celebrating the river and public spaces. Now these ghats are still there, but who among the Delhiites know these? These riverfronts are now really backyards because of so many reasons. And the river has stopped being celebrated, and odd people or very few people really know about these or come and enjoy these places, or like Tanmay said, use them for ritualistic purposes. I mean, a lot of it is to really do the way that we look at our traditional system versus the modern system. We are really post-independence, a very modern society and a very engineering-based society. So a lot of this has to do with this. And just to give an example, we have several heritage water systems, but I think when we are looking at water supplies, water conservation, we really seldomly look at these, go back to look at these traditional technologies or systems that are really available in our midst, and they're very much in use in different parts of the country. I mean, I'm just giving a very quick example of Tanjore, which actually is a very interesting city because it sort of faces close to about 6 to 7 months of drought and close to about 3 to 4 months of flooding. And all of this water that comes in that flooding could actually be really recharged its moats, its historic moats, and it's really adequate to really cater to the water need of the city. But unfortunately, these are the things that we don't look at, but rather the proposal is to really bring water from another lake, which is about 50 kilometers away. So I'm just emphasizing that there are solutions that are in our midst, which are really related to culture and heritage, but those are seldomly looked at because, like I said, we are a scientific society, or more based on science. So I think I'm just going to be talking about why the cultural knowledge system is important. I'm not telling that all the buildings should be made like we used to be making in past, but we are really talking about how we can learn, adopt, innovate to make these cities cleaner, livable, and more pleasing. Because I think there's merit in them in form of planning and design, the climatic response, even risk mitigation. They're also considered more healthy. And of course, we all talk about sustainability, and the far more sustainability. The first, I think the principle is design in context. This is something I think we really have lost because we are sort of trying to build buildings which are not really of that place. This is just an example from Banaras, but there are good examples like Pondicherry, where each elevation, each building goes through a process, and a heritage elevations are suggested within the same FAR, and they're much more contextual. I mean, similarly, we had suggested only partially implemented under Hirde, where the municipalities were making these sort of toilets, but if you tweak the design a little bit, they are far more, I will say, a friendly neighborhood rather than an alien placed on these historic places. And I think here I will emphasize for several cities to really develop their own homegrown design toolkits, which are really contextual, where they can learn from the crafts and art of that place, which also gives employment to the local people. And these are some of the examples that are available on their website. And the toilets, infrastructure necessarily need not be sort of industrially produced. It could also be very contextual and homegrown, learning from the various architectural styles. So, I mean, going to the even micro detail on how a signage could be, they could all be really learning from the local architecture or construction. And there's merit, like the Daji Diwar in Kashmir is known to be earthquake safe. The mud walls, we generally tend to not look at mud as a sort of an important material, but there are buildings that are 7 stories high, and even the king lives there. And like I said, that these materials of lime and mud, even stone walls, are far more healthier than buildings that are made out of RCC or cement. And one is not talking about living only in historic building, even new construction like this very, very expensive Lalit Hotel is actually made out of stone and mud. Also, certain traditional climatic response like jalis or cavity walls, courtyards is generally seldom used in our design or in our buildings. They also have certain merits. We can learn from our own heritage rather than always aping the West in the new buildings that we do, including interpretation of traditional construction, like I said, the Jidivare or this wind catchers in Gandhinagar. And art and aesthetics of traditional art goes without saying. These are just some examples that we did in Banaras. So this adds a lot of, I think, identity and value to those places. And these places are now kept clean because they have this sort of aesthetical value to this. And of course, I think this has already been spoken about revival of water bodies, or like what we've been doing, restoration of certain heritage buildings or facades. And I think a lot of people have spoken about the sacred waste and also involvement of local communities. And lastly, I will say, please look at the traditional as modern, and maybe empirical is also scientific. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Divay, for taking us through this. The key message from your talk is that we need to blend culture and heritage in our cities, city planning, etc. Before ma'am Rupa Mishra is here, ma'am, really honored to be part of this panel, and we had extensive discussions, though we were short on time. But just to summarize some of the key areas that came up. One, we need to sort of encourage our cities and citizens to measure their footprint, both in terms of water waste as well as waste, including solid and liquid. We need to work together, with the different stakeholders, because one of the key things that came up was that government alone cannot do this, and therefore we need to engage different stakeholders. And we had case studies of engagement of citizens, which was the Prahari work that the WIA has done, the work with industries that NMCG and Solidarity is doing, the work that the Municipal Corporation of Haridwar has done with the ghats, own your own ghat. That's another interesting area. The third issue that came out was that we need to somehow debate and find out a way to sort of address the issue of floating population, and particularly the waste that they carry to some of these areas, in ecologically fragile areas, particularly the Himalayas. That's number three. Number four is around building that upstream downstream connect, because the downstream cities are totally disconnected with upstream cities and the ecology upstream out there. So how do we sort of build that awareness and sensitize the stakeholders both in the upstream as well as downstream to appreciate this fact? The fifth one was around respecting the natural hydrology, watersheds and water bodies. And in that context, we heard the urban river management plan framework, how it actually looks across economic, ecological and societal aspects, and it will help cities to sort of become river sensitive and keeping river at the center of planning. And the last one, Mr. Tanmay and Mr. Divay, they highlighted the importance of bringing religion, culture, and heritage as agents of change to see how our cities can actually inspire people to take some of this action. There are a lot of good practices, small, practical, grounded examples were given in this panel. So looking forward to the World Environment Day, and I think this talk and the experiences, I'm sure that will inspire many people. One thing we need to be very, very clear, while we need clean cities for clean rivers, it is also important that we need clean rivers for livable cities. And I think that's one message that we need to also send across. And I'm sure that this month, May, June, when the government of India is running a campaign on Mission Lifestyle for Environment, and I think we will be able to sort of drive behavior change across different sections. With this, ma'am, welcome you to the panel, and over to you for your perspectives on this particular issue of clean cities and clean rivers. Thank you.
Thank you, Sureshji, for the excellent moderation that you've done, especially with us losing the first couple of minutes. Thereafter, you kind of managed to get the speakers highlight the most important points within a very limited period of time. So thank you very much for the excellent moderation. My heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of the speakers who have done great justice given the limited period of time to bring forth extremely important points related to this very pressing subject. The fact that all of us together have assembled a few days prior to the World Environment Day, and the way the session has been curated, starting from Janandolan to River Cities planning to integrating culture, architecture, and sensitivity into it, shows that today is a time where we cannot plan for solutions in isolation. Urbanization is a reality. Cities will keep growing, and we cannot look at sanitation and waste management with a lens of retrofitting it. Sanitation and waste management have to be pre-planned, and we will have to head-on face them with a very different lens, as much in contrast to the ways that we've been doing till now. And with cities growing, and with the problems that all our speakers have highlighted, especially, for example, it's a coincidence once again that I'm joining this particular meeting sitting here from Varanasi. Varanasi is a city where today currently about 19 lakh population resides. Where 19 lakh population resides, the tourist footfall is about 1 crore. We just heard figures from Haridwar where during cover you have 30 to 35 lakhs of people assembling within a limited geographical space and within a short period of time. Our cities, this kind of flow is actually quite incredible. And not just that, post-COVID, uh, uh, a system has a kind of trend has also opened up where tourism to various cities has expanded. The treks which earlier did not see much of people have now started witnessing large footfall. So be it our trek routes or be it our spiritual places or be it our industrial towns and around which peripheral growth is happening, urbanization with it is bringing about challenges, and for which we, the community who are responsible to actually provide a conducive framework for planning
There is an internet issue there. We'll wait for a minute and So sorry, allow us a minute. The Mahua team is checking with ma'am.
Thank you, Sureshji. I think ma'am has got some network issues out there. So thank you so much for a wonderful discussion, and apologies again for the glitch in the beginning of this session, but I think you have taken it up nicely, and look forward for more such interaction in days to come. And thank you everyone for being part of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.